was younger, one of my favorite shows was Criminal Minds. In fact, who here has seen Criminal Minds? Yeah. It's a show that's widely popular, and I loved it. Mainly because I had a massive crush on Spencer Reid. It was bad. I had a sweatshirt with his face on it at one point. But in case you've never heard of the show, it's about a group of FBI agents who hunt down serial killers by studying the killer's victims and figuring out how the criminal's brain works. And while this series is incredibly well done, it did raise a problem, at least for me. Because of every serial killer always being listed as psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, or schizophrenic, and because every episode did its best to showcase a new gruesome killing, I began to associate mental illness with violence. You can see the problem. I think that mental illness has always been misunderstood in human history, but the wide access people have nowadays to media like Criminal Minds has really skewed people's perceptions of multiple mental illnesses. For example, schizophrenia. An article by Shaylee Curran titled How Schizophrenia is Represented in Film and How We Can Do Better touches on this subject quite well, with more of a focus on schizophrenia as a whole. Multiple internet sources define schizophrenia as a serious mental health condition that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves, as well as hallucinations, delusions, and paranoia. This is a serious condition, but notice that nowhere does this say prone to violence or dangerous. And yet the media seems to lean into this stereotype that people living with schizophrenia are more dangerous to be around. This is also the case for other conditions. The idea that sociopaths enjoy being violent because they don't feel emotions. In reality, sociopaths, or more specifically, a person who has antisocial personality disorder, is not automatically going to be a cold-blooded killer. They just struggle to understand empathy. And these stereotypes are harmful to people with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. So why does the media do this? Why do they continually paint mentally ill people as manipulative, conniving murderers or ticking time bombs ready to go crazy and hurt innocent people? Is there any truth to these claims? Well, not really. The fact is that people living with mental illness are actually far more likely to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators. So why is the media still feeding us these damaging misconceptions? A good theory is simply the fear of the unknown. Mental illness can be hard to identify, and people who act outside of the social norm, even if it's not by choice, are generally seen as bad and wrong. I have my own personal experience with this. Or maybe because mental illness is a good scapegoat for humanity's issues. What I mean by this is, if the murderer on screen is mentally ill, then the regular person watching doesn't have to associate themselves with that person, convincing them that they could never be that bad because they don't have a diagnosis. It sets a boundary, and that boundary reassures people. Except it's not reassuring to the audience with those same conditions. And media like this alienates mentally ill people and creates a stigma that may stop them from seeking help. TV shows are often exaggerated. It makes them more fun. But when you are dealing with something as important as mental health representation, it is vital to keep in mind what messages you're giving to your audience. Because if people continue to capitalize off content made from stereotypes, humanity is only going to become more divided, people are only going to become more alienated, and things are only going to get worse for people who are already scared and just need help. But if we work together, we can help spread factual knowledge about mental health instead of harmful stereotypes. Thank you.